Hey, so this is the third video in what is now a three-part series talking about the games-based approach to coaching. I was hoping to do these videos much closer together, but lots of stuff got in the way. Here we are. So if you've not watched 1 and 2, please go back and watch those first. Hopefully that will make this third one make the most sense. So in the first and second one, I talked more about the how the approach works. Now this is more about why I feel this is a good approach to take generally, not all the time, but generally within the group coaching and some of the time within individual lessons as well. So I think the best way to set this up is to look at it through the lens of interest levels. This is something I spent quite a bit of time in lockdown trying to learn more about and trying to understand, because I think this is really, really key. As the coach, if I can understand interest levels and more importantly understand where the junior in front of me is and where they sit with their current interest level, that's going to allow me to really make the coaching person-centered. It's going to allow me to meet the needs of the junior in front of me so the coaching is appropriate for them and ultimately going to allow them to get the most out of the coaching sessions. So in terms of interest levels, we would have either a situational or an individual interest. Now, a situational interest is, as it sounds, the junior is interested purely in the situation and nothing really outside of that. So let's say we've got a junior coming for their 1 hour group coaching session on a Saturday. They are interested only in that 1 hour, only in that situation. They'll do that 1 hour session, they'll go away from it, they'll not really think too much about golf, they won't go and look at YouTube videos on how to improve their technique, read articles on golf, they won't have long-term goals, they won't be trying to get the handicap down, get certain scores, etc, etc. They're essentially not invested in the long term. Their only interest is that situation when they're there and really nothing else outside of that. They may still come to the driving range, let's say, and I wouldn't call it practice, I would call it more just hitting balls. They may go out on the golf course and play on the course still, they may even still play in a golf competition, but again, the key thing there is they're only interested in that situation. They're coming to the driving range to hit balls because that situation of hitting balls interests them. That situation of being out on the golf course interests them. They're not doing it to try and really improve in the long term because they don't have those long-term goals. They're not invested in that way. So then we'd have an individual interest, which is essentially the opposite. So they are invested in much more outside of just the coaching sessions. They're more invested in long-term improvement. They have goals. They want to maybe get the handicap down to a certain number, get certain scores, get into certain squads, certain finishes in competitions, etc, etc. They're coming to their sessions because they really want to improve. They're wanting to push on in the long term. They'll maybe look at YouTube videos on how to improve their technique, read some articles, etc, etc. They'll do much more than just a session, or they're interested in much more than just a session. They'll come and have a practice session, but they're practicing more because they're really in line with their long-term goals to try and help with that, not to just be engaged in that situation. So there's the two interest levels. Hopefully that makes sense. Generally, this is really important to stress this, generally primary school age is situational interest. If it changes, there's a transitional period where they kind of sit between the two for probably 2 or 3 years. And that transitional period is normally around sort of starting high school and then later high school years into a full individual interest. That is the general trend. It can absolutely be different. You can have a young junior have an individual interest, and it's quite common as well for juniors to have a situational interest and stay with a situational interest right through their whole golfing life. It's not necessarily always going to turn into an individual interest. So that's interest levels. Now we've set that up, we can essentially, as I said, we can make the coaching appropriate for the interest level so the juniors are going to get the most out of those sessions. So generally, the group coaching, as I've said, and some of the time individual coaching is geared towards juniors that have a situational interest. A little bit of a technical issue there, so I had to do a bit of an edit. So we have our juniors coming for their coaching session with a situational interest. Now, as I've said, they are not invested in long-term improvement. That's not on their radar. They're not concerned with that. But I'm a golf coach, so I am. Of course I am. I need to get them better at golf. If juniors are attending for, let's say, a year and they're no better at golf after a year, then I haven't really done my job. So how can I do that? Well, let's say every session we're always trying to, the skills we're trying to develop, something we're trying to learn and improve. So Let's say I want to improve the juniors' pitching skills, their ability with an iron to hit sort of 30, 40, 50, 60 yard shots, etc. Now, I can do that one of two ways. I could do it with a more, as I said in the first video, more traditional, more information processing approach, where the kids come for their session and I go, okay, today kids, we're going to learn to hit better pitch shots and we're going to improve our pitching technique, and I get them all in a line and I say, okay, we're going to try and hit it to 40, 50 yards. And we do that for an hour and I walk up and down the line, just helping them all with their technique to improve their swings, explicitly saying do this, do that, and that will allow you to hit better pitch shots. And we do it just like this on the driving range for an hour, trying to hit nice little 20, 30 yard shots, whatever they are. Or the juniors come for their session and I go, today kids, we are playing Mario Chip. We've got 4 characters, pick your character. You can be Mario, Yoshi, Bowser, etc, etc. We do some little warm up probably first. We've got to hit a shot, it's got to hit Mario without bouncing to move through Rainbow Road. You've got bonuses, you've got mushrooms, you've got bananas, you've got boosts, you've got little challenges, etc, etc. It's going to be a race, you're going to be competing against the others. You've got to get to the, obviously, finish line first, etc, etc. Now, for me, it is an absolute no-brainer that for the juniors with the situational interest, what is going to engage them more in that situation, what's going to be more fun, more enjoyable, more motivating, etc, etc, is without doubt, for me, playing the game. It is just, as I've said, going to be far more enjoyable, far more engaging for the junior with that situational interest. Look no more than video games. Always mention this. Fortnite, for example, I mean, not always a good thing, but look how much kids want to play that. Look how much they enjoy playing it. Look how much they're motivated to play it. Well, if I can do that, create that same thing in the golfing world with juniors and their relationship with golf, then I'm on to an absolute winner. Now, they'll be doing their session, they'll be playing the game, and you know, whilst they're not invested in the long-term improvement, they're still invested in doing well in that session. A sense of competence is really important. If you're failing at something over and over and just feel like you can't do it and don't have that sense of competence, that's not very enjoyable, that's not very fun. So they need that sense of competence, need a certain amount of success, will want to have a certain amount of success. Maybe a lot of juniors are very competitive, will want to compete and want to do well. But again, the difference is it's all in that session, it's in that situation. Now, and again, going back to that, what are juniors more excited about? Juniors with the group coaching, they don't come to golf and ask me what skills are we working on improving today. They ask me what game we're playing, because again, that's just what they're more interested in. They're going to be more excited with that situational interest to come to golf to play Mario Chip or whatever the game is, whatever the challenge is, the bank robbing game on the putting green, the mole game, whatever it is. They're going to be way more excited to come and play that than they are to come just to learn and improve my pitching skills, to learn an L swing. Okay, so again, as I've talked about in the first 2 videos, through self-organization, through the invites from the environment, through me questioning them, through changing the constraints, they are absolutely still in that game going to hopefully improve their pitching skills. In the exact same way, we will be trying to improve their pitching skills if they were in a line, hitting shots on the driving range, purely trying to improve their technique. We will still get the same outcome of improved pitching skills, but we'll get that outcome through a medium that is far more appropriate for the junior with that situational interest, that's going to lead to the learning, the development, but it's done more in an implicit way from their point of view. They've just played the game. But I may well, as I said in the second video, I may well still be explicit, and I may well, when we're playing a game, explicitly tell them, okay, stand here, hold the club like this, move like this, etc. But from their point of view, while they would engage with that more, and why that is more appropriate is again because it's going to allow them to have more success at the game. That's more on their radar, that's more what they're engaged with, that's more what they're interested in, having success at the game, than they are, as I say, in the long-term improvement. So when I am being explicit, it's again from their point of view, it's to help them have more success in the game, the challenge, whatever it is that we're doing. Obviously, although it's not on their radar, if they keep doing that in the sessions and they do it consistently, they'll obviously improve in the long term. But again, they've improved in the long term through the medium of playing games, which is appropriate for them, not in a different manner, more traditional approach, as that is generally more appropriate for that individual interest level. And that in a nutshell is why I feel the games is generally the best approach to take. It creates engagement, fun, enjoyment, learning, etc. in the most appropriate way for juniors with a situational interest. Final thing to say as well, talk about this a lot, really big on the mental side and the mindset. I think golf is a brilliant sport to develop mental skills, to develop a good mindset, a good attitude, etc. And through games, that opens up far more ways in which we can develop those skills, through games being, you know, as they are, with the rules that they've got, all the different avenues of playing the games. There's a lot more avenues ultimately to develop those mental skills and to talk about that mindset. Just hitting golf balls on the range is not going to provide as many opportunities to develop as many ins to talk about and develop that mental side of things, that mindset, those mental skills, as I say, which are great to learn through golf and can ultimately transfer and help them outside of the golfing environment as well. So another huge plus from the games is it's easier, there's more ins, there's more avenues, more opportunities for the juniors to develop that side of things as well. So there we go, that's the third part of the 3-part series. Thank you for watching if you've watched. Any questions, comments, want to chat about it more, love talking about this stuff, so please feel free just to get in touch. Thanks for watching.